Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. You know, my girlfriend recently said that I was unsympathetic and uncaring, so I bought her a G.I. Joe coloring book. That way, she'll always have a soldier to crayon. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at G.I. Joe deck building game from Renegade Game Studios. Hello everybody, we'll get back to the review in just a second. I just want to take a moment to ask you to go ahead and check out and subscribe to my other channel, that is Cody Carlson PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history and fun things like that. Please check that out, please subscribe, and now, back to the review. In the G.I. Joe deck building game from Renegade Game Studios, 1 to 4 players take on the role of various Joes as they attempt to battle the evil forces of Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world. He'll never give up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare, G.I. real American hero, G.I. Joe will dare. The board game comes with a number of main deck cards. It also comes with leader cards who can be promoted to special leader cards. You also have a Cobra threat tracker. You have story cards. You have Cobra leader officer cards. You have Cobra battalions, Cobra troopers, and all sorts of funky things. Now, at the beginning of every game, you're going to kind of create a deck of story cards. Essentially, there are 2 stories you can play through here. There is the mass device that you will remember from the original 1980s miniseries. Then there is also kind of an original story based on kind of a mind control device. But each of these are going to have 3 acts. You're going to go ahead, you're going to create these story decks, and then you're going to create your story for that particular game and set it aside. You're going to create a main deck of 6 cards, and these cards are going to be everything from other Joes you can recruit to weapons you can use, vehicles, and all sorts of other goodies. Now, in front of you, you're going to place a hangar, and a hangar is going to be where you're going to keep your vehicles. Your first vehicle is the Vamp. You're going to place that in front of you as well. Now, the vehicles, like the Vamp, are going to say exactly how many Joes it can carry. And this is important because you need vehicles to take Joes on their missions. Now, I've only played this as a solitaire game, so I haven't played. There's stuff here where you can assist other Joes and whatnot on missions. So I haven't played with any of that. I've just played this solitaire, so let me give you my thoughts based on that. At the beginning of every round, you're going to go ahead and draw your first story card. You're going to put your first story card out there. And as that story card is visible, you can see the next story card, because that's going to kind of give you clues about what you need to do in order to prepare for that one. But your story is going to have some important information on it. It's going to tell you if it's at a land location, a sea location, an air location, so there's kind of terrain there. But there's also specific mission skills that your Joes are going to need in order to overcome that. They can be, explosives, or they could be stealth, or they could be recon, all sorts of funky things that are going to be printed on each of those stories. Then you're going to have a number that you have to hit in order to get success in order to beat that story. The story may also bring out some other things as well. It may trigger, for instance, a Cobra officer like Major Blood to come out. Now, he's in effect, and he's going to do dastardly things as long as he's out there as well. Now, on your turn, you're going to go ahead and you're going to play your cards. Now, Joes essentially are going to go on missions. That's what Joes do. Now, you can go on the story mission, but the story mission's usually pretty tough, so you might want to take out some other stuff first. For instance, if one of those officers is out there, you can go and you can try to take out him. If there are other things, for instance, Cobra battalions may come out, and they may actually go on top of Joes you want to recruit and cards you want to recruit, so you can send missions to take those guys out. You can also you get troopers, Cobra troopers, in your deck, which just take up space, but you can go on a mission to get rid of those guys as well. Now, when you go on a mission, as I say, you need a vehicle. You start with the Vamp. You may be able to recruit other vehicles that give you more powers and advantages as the game goes on. But essentially, as you are going on these missions, the vehicle can only hold so many Joes, so you can only place so many Joes to that mission, but you can also bring in equipment and other goodies to help them along. Now, as I say, the Joes have various skills, and if a Joe has printed on it Marksman 3, that means if you're going up against a mission that says any one skill, you can use it for that, or if it specifically says Marksman, then you can roll 3 die. You can collect 3 die to roll on that, and any other Joe just defaults to 1. If they don't have the appropriate skill, they just get 1 die. So ideally, you want to send Joes on these missions that meet those skill criteria. But you're going to go ahead, you're going to collect all the die for all the Joes you've got and any special skills that you've got and any other goodies. You're going to collect that number of die and you're going to roll the die. Now the die, I believe 3 sides are blank. I think 2 sides are 1 success and 1 side is 2 successes. So you're trying to roll enough successes to meet the success for that specific mission, and if you can do that, you win the mission, you get the reward. If it is a story mission, you can put it under the success story missions. If it's a failure, you put it under the fail story missions. There may be penalties, and as I say, there could be rewards. But critically, before you go after the story, you also have some other bad things you have to overcome. Cobra also has complication cards, so whenever you go up against a story, usually you have to draw a number of complication cards. Sometimes these can be just things that screw you over, sometimes they can be additional side missions. They can be all sorts of things that you have to deal with before you can go after that story mission. Now the good news is once they're out of the way, they're out of the way, but if you fail, then it's, again, you've failed. Now, after the mission is done, you look at the recruit points of all your cards. All the recruit points that you have laid out, you then get to use to recruit any cards that are not covered up by a Cobra battalion. You can go ahead and recruit that provided you can afford them. You can keep recruiting up to as many points as you've got. You go ahead, you put those cards not in your discard pile, but on the top of your deck, so you're going to be drawing those cards you just recruited first on your next turn. You're going to go ahead and after everybody is gone, or in a solitaire game after you've gone twice, you're going to go ahead and resolve some end of round effects. There may be some story things that say at the end of the round, or a Cobra officer may say something at the end of the round, or different things may pop up that have an end of a round effect. But also too, you have the Cobra tracker, and you move that tracker up. There are different colors, and sometimes where that tracker is on the color may affect how some of your cards work. They may affect some other things as well. Typically, you want to keep that low because if it gets too high, you will instantly lose the game. So essentially, you're playing through the missions, you're trying to get through the story, but also having to deal with all of these other little fires you've got to put out. You are recruiting cards into your hand, you're becoming more powerful, and you are critically trying to keep that threat tracker low. If the threat tracker ever gets to the end, as I say, you immediately lose, but if you can play through and win all 9 of the missions, then you win! G.I. Joe deck building game. So before I say anything else, I have to tell you, I was a huge G.I. Joe kid. I was the youngest kid in my family, and I was spoiled rotten. And I had a crap load of G.I. Joe toys when I was a kid. I remember, like one year for Christmas, I was like maybe 4 or 5, I got the Flat Cannon. That was my very first G.I. Joe toy. And then a few months later was my birthday, and my family went to California right before my birthday. And I remember we were there. It was March of '81, and I think Reagan got shot. And so I remember that, and my brother gave me the truck with clutch, and boy, that was all she wrote. After that, I loved G.I. Joe. I had an allowance of $1 a week, and every 3 weeks, I got to go to Lionel Playworld. Now, everybody else that sold G.I. Joe action figures, it was $4, but Lionel Playworld was $3. So I'd always go to Lionel Playworld, and I'd buy a G.I. Joe action figure about once a month, and that was exciting. I lived for that. Loved G.I. Joe. I actually went back and recently watched G.I. Joe the movie. Ooh, not good. But let's go ahead and talk about this G.I. Joe deck building game. Now, as I mentioned, it's a cooperative game, and I haven't played it. I feel like I haven't played it fully because it really feels like a game where you assist each other and you help each other out on these missions. And I've just played it solo. So I'm looking at it from a solo perspective. First thing I want to say, the rule book is not great. I was searching for things. I was going back for things. Really going over and over again the rule book. Not a huge fan of the rule book. Not the worst rule book I've ever read. I don't know. I wish there were some things that just kind of took me a while to to find. There's a glossary, and then there were some terms that weren't in the glossary, and it was just, I was not happy about that. Not the best rule book. But I got to tell you, the missions, and when you go on the story missions, I thought that was just really well done. I thought that was a lot of fun going after these missions, and how, of course, the specific Joes you're using have to have certain skills. Now, when you recruit vehicles, right, they don't just go in your card pile, rather they go in the hangar. And theoretically, in a game, multiplayer game, other people can use those vehicles to go where they need to go on missions. So I really like that. I really like that aspect of the game, the stories. And then, like I say, there's different kinds of missions. There's the story missions, but then there's also, you can go after the officers, or you can go after, there's battalions or troopers that come up. It seems like there's always little side missions you can do, and then you've got the main mission to keep you on track. And you've got that threat meter, and it's scary because it's creeping up, and you're trying to do everything you can to bring it down. Which is easier said than done. And then you're going after those stories, but it's not just a numbers game, because you don't know what the complication cards are going to do. They may seriously screw you. So you've got to kind of prepare and plan for it, and hopefully be in a position where you can deal with whatever threats Cobra throws at you before you go after the story. But it's good too, and it's thematic, and it's really thematic too, right? Because it was never just a straight line for the Joes to get stuff done. They always had to go here and go here and go here, you know. So I think the game is incredibly thematic. I think it's very well done. So I also like too how you play your cards, and you know, in a lot of games you can attack or recruit, and here you do both. You go on the missions, but then you can also recruit, and I like that, how it lets you get a lot of cards into the game quick, even in a solitaire game, and I like that. But one of the things I really like about this game is the dice. I like dice incorporation in this. I remember when I played A Touch of Evil, the deck builder. I really liked that because that had a die in it that you would use, so I like die in a deck builder. It gives a little bit more chance, and I really like it here quite a bit, because again, it's luck, but there's ways to mitigate that luck. There's ways to pair cards and do combinations that give you better chances, and I like that. I think it very well done, very well done. I really like rolling die in a game. I'm just a fan of rolling dice, and I really like it here. Very well done here. It can be frustrating, but it's fun. What I'm trying to say is I am a big fan of the G.I. Joe deck building game. Rulebook aside, I think this game is solid. It is fun. It is thematic. It is one of the best deck builders I played in a long time. I was really excited when this game played as good as it looked. And let me just comment too on the art. The art's great. It's like the comic book style G.I. Joe stuff, and it really took me back to my childhood in a lot of ways, but in a fun new way. So I really enjoyed it, and I'm kind of amazed we haven't seen more G.I. Joe games. I know Renegade's done the role-playing game, but I don't really play role-playing games. I'd love to see some other games with this IP. That'd be so great. But this game nails it. I was very pleased with the G.I. Joe deck building game. I recently reviewed the Transformers deck building game, which I was not a huge fan of. It was okay, but I kind of felt like in some ways it was a missed opportunity, but I feel like they just really did justice to G.I. Joe here. Did it very well, and I'm enamored with it. I think this is a fun one, and I really want to play it with more players. I really want to play it as a co-op. I think it'll be even a better experience. But Solitaire was great. You know, I think the Solitaire version of it's a fun way to play too. So a recommendation for the Discriminating Gamer for G.I. Joe deck building game is buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. And I also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history and books on military history and fun things like that. In fact, maybe you could say that my career path to become a military historian began with G.I. Joe. I'll have to think about that. I always thought it was Axis and Allies. Maybe it goes back deeper. Anyway, check out that channel. We have a lot of fun there. And please give us a like, a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. We really appreciate that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as they used to say in the old G.I. Joe show, and now you know. And knowing is half the battle. The other half is violence.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
Not only has the discriminating gamer fundamentally transformed the landscape of board game review sites as we know it, but it has fundamentally transformed my life.